What's going on, everyone? My name is Chris, and this is my 1991 JZA70 MKIII Toyota Supra. I picked it up about a little over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, while we were in North Carolina. I went through a small dealership in Irmo, South Carolina, called Japan Direct Motors. They did wonderful. They had the car for me. They communicated well. Their website was awesome to work with, to look at. I'll link the website so you guys can take a look. And they had just dozens and dozens of different cars on their lot there. And it was a relatively small facility, right? It looked like a person's house, and they've got a garage next to it, and they have some land or a lot right next to it that's fenced off, and that's actually what had all of the cars in it. Originally, when I started looking for a car, I was actually looking for a Skyline. So I started looking at all the different, the different dealerships in the area, especially the import dealerships. There were a bunch of them between Virginia, Washington, and South Carolina, North Carolina, that had these cars. And I looked for a Mark IV Supra, because who doesn't want a Mark IV Supra? But then I was like, I want to try and get something practical. I'm going to get a four-door car. I happened across a R32 GTST at a small dealership in Virginia, but they were asking a lot more than I really wanted to spend at the time. And then this place, Japan Direct, down in South Carolina, had one. It was actually a really good price. I think when we were looking at it, it was only about $12,000 or $13,000 for this car. Four-door turbo, great condition, everything. And so I went down there, and I looked at the car, and I took it for a drive, and then after I got back, I was talking with them, and they had a Mark III Supra, so we pulled that one out, and it was honestly everything that I had ever wanted. It was my dream car growing up. Most people want a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, or anything like that. And while I wanted a Mark IV Supra, I love the cars, I love the styling on them, I love the near infinite customization that you can do to them. There was something about the Mark III that called to me. And I actually had a Mark III many years ago. It was a USDM, so it was an MA70 left-hand drive, and it was a great car. It was a lot of fun, 7M, but it was really underpowered, right? So I tinkered with it, and I played with it, and I modified it the best that I could, and then we had a kid, and I sold it, got something bigger, and then we moved, and life happened as life happens. Fast forward 10 years, and I told my wife, I said, I want to get a new car, but I want it to be a right-hand drive. She said, okay, I don't care, whatever you want. This is your limit, find whatever you want. I was like, oh my God. I found the one, guys. This is it, round of applause, thank you, we're done. We can take her home. So, the car overall was in damn near perfect condition. The paint has very few fade spots on it. There's a minor dent on the roof. Otherwise, it's in great condition. Sorry, we're in a small garage here. This is, you work with what you got, and it was just, the car was perfect. The car was just perfect. So I took it for a test drive, I fell in love with it, I realized that I wanted it, and that was it. We signed the paperwork and took it home that day, and that was that. That was all she wrote. So, typical Mark III interior, except that I have the digital dash. It only comes on the Limited and the TTRs, which was really nice. I also have an old school HKS turbo timer. I have an Apex-C AVCR boost controller, and then I've got my boost gauge there because the one that's on the dash only goes up, shows like the lines, like the fuel gauge there does. But I needed to know exactly what I was, especially because I can change the boost for it. So, interior was great. It's got the Recaro seats from the TTR. in them, and then it has the standard kind of leather and suede rear seats. I still have the hatch little sliding cover there, and then the Limited came with a sunroof, which was super cool, a lot of fun. It was unique. I had never seen it like this before, so I was like, that's awesome. I like the Targa, but this is great. You keep the structural stability of the car, but you still get the open top. It also comes with the twin turbo 1JZ motor. Now these have the CT12As. They are the ceramic bearing turbos. The Mark IV Supra has the twin turbo 2JZ. Those typically have the CT12Bs, which are steel bearing turbos. So what's cool about this, right? So you have the 1J and the 2J. So the 1J came in the Mark IIIs, and it did come in the Mark IVs, but you had the VVTi motors. This is the non-VVTi motor. So the 1J and the 2J have the same horsepower output. This is base. They set it at about 280 at the crank. Okay. The 1JZ has the ceramic bearing turbos. The 2JZ has the steel bearing turbos. The 2JZ is overall a better motor. It can handle a lot more horsepower completely stock internal. You can push, I think, up to 550 or almost 600 horsepower without touching pistons, rods, cranks, stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend it, but it works. With the 1JZ, the advantage to it is cheaper to buy and modify a 1JZ. Not all the parts are going to bolt up directly. The 1JZ and 2JZ are very similar, but you can't just take a bunch of 2JZ parts and slap them onto a 1JZ. Okay, you can take the head from a 2JZ, you can put it on a 1J bottom end and do the 1.5 conversion that a lot of people do. But overall, the 1JZ is simply cheaper, but the 2JZ does win out overall as far as performance limitations, reliability, stuff like that. Well, basically what I've done as far as modifications, as you will, it came with the Cusco strut tower brace. That was really nice there. It did come with a set of Tine coilovers. It came with, they're over in that box right there, Tine Circuit Master RAs. From what I was able to find online, and this is directly from Tine's website, they were very expensive, but they're very good. Now, they don't have the camber adjust, but they do have the stiffness, you know, the damper, and then adjustable ride height. Great coilovers. When I bought the car, the rears were blown out. So I was like, okay, well, I'll buy a cheap set, throw them on. I will send these off to Tine. They'll rebuild them. I think it's like 140 bucks a pop. And then I'll throw them on and all that. They are like a $3,000 set of discontinued coilovers. So it's like, you can't beat that, right? I'll spend 150 bucks each to have them repair them and then throw them back in the car. Or I'll sell them. What I ended up doing for Supras in Vegas 2020, I bought a cheap set. I bought the max speeding rods coilovers. All I needed them to do was get me through a year, maybe 2 years, so that I could get these built, you know, get these shipped off to Tine, get them repaired, and then put them on, and then I would take them and I was going to let them go for like 100 bucks to somebody that just needed a budget set of coilovers. But I ended up blowing one of them out. This was literally the week before Supras in Vegas 2020. But I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. The Supra community is huge out there. I was able to reach out and say, hey, does anybody have a set that I can buy, that I can borrow? I just want to get the car to Supras in Vegas. And I had a friend of mine reach out, and he was like, yeah, absolutely, you can borrow them. Throw them on. When you get back, just give them back. And I thought, that's a little strange to borrow a set of coilovers, but you know what? I'll take it. I appreciate it. They're Tines. They're really nice. And then a couple days later, I was like, you know what? You're rebuilding your Supra right now, so it's not running. Can I just buy these off of you? I need them anyway. I can't find another set. This was right, you know, in the midst of COVID, right? So there's no place that's going to ship them to me, not in the time that I need. And no shops around carry them that I could find. There was BC's or
Godspeeds are something that were at a local shop in town, but they wanted a lot more than I really needed. I just needed a decent set, and I'm really partial to Tyne, so that's what I picked up. So I said, can I just buy them off of you? You're rebuilding your car. I'll pay, you know, he said they had like 1,000 miles on them. I said, I'll pay whatever you paid for them. I just need a set. I like these. Can I just buy them? He took a day, thought about it. He said, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. You can buy them. So I bought them. I threw them on. I adjusted it. Literally 2 days later, I drove off to Supras in Vegas. So big thanks to that guy. That was awesome. I was in a bind. He helped me out. I got what I needed. And they're great coilovers. BCs are good. Godspeeds are good. HKS are good. You're going to pay a lot more for all of those. These are Flex RAs, Tyne Flex RAs, or Street Flex. They're good coilovers. It was about $600, and that's about what they retail for. They have the height adjust, the damping adjust, just like the Circuit Masters. And it's a great ride. I actually have it really low, and it's not maxed out. If I maxed it out, I think the wheels rub the fender or something crazy like that. So we don't really mess around too much with that. The only other part that I put on was simply the clear timing cover. And really the only reason I got that, because there's nothing special about the gears. They're the factory gears. That's the factory timing belt. But the stock timing belt cover that was on there was cracked and broken, and little bits and pieces were falling in there. And I was like, I can't have that. If it falls in there and something gets damaged, like, that would totally suck. This was $20. I picked it up. That was it. I think it looks cool, and it does the thing. My Instagram, Super Duper, on there. It is actually an underscore. That was the guy when the guy made them. He initially left that out. He sent me another one, and that's the one that's on the side of the car. But I have that one on my engine cover for right now. So another cool thing about this one, specifically with the Limited, although you can get these at Name Point. I mean, excuse how that looks. You know, it did sit on a salty island for a long time, and those are basically really soft plastic, so they sink in. But these are actually power folding mirrors. So let's jump back into the cockpit, and we'll look at the passenger one. And they fold in. And they still work. And they work great. Turbo timer, sorry. And this is very common for them to do in Japan because parking is very tight. They're awesome, and I like them. So I have big plans for this. In fact, the next video that I'm going to upload is going to be, I picked up a full intercooler from a buddy in Arizona as well. Now this is for the Mark IV Supra. This is direct bolted to the Mark IV, the 2JZ. So it should work. From talking with a couple of guys that have done this before, there's some modification that needs to be done to the support brace to mount it, but otherwise it should be pretty much a direct bolt up. The bends and the piping should be relatively the same. Running it may be a little bit different depending on how wide it goes, because this one right here, bends and just goes straight down to the factory intercooler. I don't know if we can really see that right now, because this one right here bends and just goes straight down to the factory intercooler, and then the battery's in the way, so a lot of the ones that you'll see, the intercooler pipe will come out and then actually go way off to the side. Now, because that's a factory setup and it was made to hook up to the factory intake manifold, it should bend and go straight down like that. And then on the hot side, it also kind of comes out, bends, and then just goes straight down to the factory intercooler there. So that was the next thing that I plan on doing. So that's the first thing that I plan on doing, the big modification to the car, is throwing on the intercooler. And I'm going to see if I can get it all worked up. I'm going to try not to cut up any of the support, you know, the subframe and the support braces, because I know I really need those. So work on that. But that'll be the next video that I put up. I just wanted to show you guys my car. Follow me on Instagram, super_duper. And then if you guys like the video, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me how I'm doing. This is very informal. I'm holding my own camera, I've got a tripod and all that, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I've got good lighting, good sound. But I just wanted to kind of start the channel off with a quick intro to the car. And who knows, maybe later on, after it gets a little bit better, I will redo the intro and maybe give a better explanation of the car. Right now, the weather outside is absolutely shitty. We had a terrible ice storm the other night that destroyed trees and put power out all over, from Portland all the way down to Albany in Oregon, and it's crazy. So I'm having to be in the garage with the door shut instead of being outside with better light. But that's just today. Stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, let me know how I'm doing. This is something that I want to do. I think it's a lot of fun. I love cars. I know the car community is huge. So show me some love. Come find me on Instagram. Tell people about my YouTube channel. Spread the word. I would love to start putting out Supra content because who doesn't love a Supra? So thanks, guys. You've been awesome. Have a good one.